Hey everyone, this is Andrea, and this is my first YouTube video for Mindful Shift, a conversation about the evolution of consciousness. So I'm joined here today, or I should say I am joining Sylvia at her house. I'm joined by my dear girlfriend, Sylvia Henderson, and we met about 2 years ago, and Sylvia is an energy healer. So I wanted to bring her on today and talk about her journey and what she is doing out there in the world. So, welcome Sylvia.
Thank you.
Very nice to
Andrea.
have you on my very first YouTube. I'm so excited about doing this. Sylvia was on my Blog Talk Radio version of Mindful Shift about 2 years ago now. And so started this and wanted to do this for a video. So thanks for joining us. And Sylvia is a intuitive and energy healer, and she has a practice called Intuitive Transformations right here in Kirkland, Washington. And we met, like I said, about 2 years ago, and I had a customer service job, and I served Sylvia some coffee, and we got talking, and we had a lot of things in common, and we're really on very similar paths and sort of studying the same things. So I wanted to talk about how that energy healing is so important for our lives today. It's because it's so much more than just being mindful and being present. And Sylvia, I had an experience a couple of weeks ago where you came to my rescue. I was going to be having an interview call and got all ready, and I kind of viewed it like I was going to do my Blog Talk Radio show, and I started to get really nervous, and then I started having a panic attack. And I haven't had a panic attack in years, so it was surprising, it was frustrating, and I was having the symptoms, the physical symptoms, like that my heart was pounding, and so I knew that adrenaline was going to be in my system, and I was going to be shaky, I was going to be forgetful. So I called Sylvia, she came to the rescue, and you got me grounded, and that was one of the things that was so important. We started with some tapping, and sort of talked me through it, and about 10-15 minutes later, I was feeling better enough to go ahead and take my call. And then you had me come in the next day, because that was just about getting my physical symptoms, like my pounding heart rate and adrenaline under control. But why did I get upset? Why did that panic attack happen? Why was I so nervous? There's, should be nothing to be nervous about, like doing this. There's nothing to be nervous about. So, again, welcome. I'm so appreciative of you doing this.
Oh,
and,
I'm just thrilled.
Yeah, happy to be talking to you. So, tell me how you got started doing this.
Well, I think it, my whole life I've kind of been exposed to spirituality from a very young child. My sister was what I called woo-woo, and that,
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up with tarot cards in the house, and she would do readings on friends and people, and I've seen actually Ouija boards move completely by themselves with no one touching them, and I've always had like these interesting little spiritual innuendos, I guess you'd say, or experiences that I couldn't quite explain. But I think it really started with my two sons, because they were both diagnosed as autistic, and at the time I was a fundamentalist Christian, and so I wasn't looking for energy healing. Energy healing kind of found me. I went to a naturopath out in Gig Harbor, Washington, and she started doing this interesting thing on my son to help with his allergies, and we were seeing some positive results. And from there, I started pursuing other things that were helping them. I went to another naturopath, and she started doing surrogate work with using me without my kids even being present. And I was seeing positive results. And so I started doing some research on my own about energy healing. And I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief.
Oh yeah, that is absolutely amazing. If you haven't had a chance to read that, Bruce Lipton is really, his work is amazing.
It is, and it was, I got the book came into my life, within months of when he first released it, and I read the book, and it just made so much sense about how he here he is, he's a PhD biologist, and he's talking about more things on a quantum level field, or even a spiritual field, but where how we can have traumas and experiences in our life, and they can be stored within the cells of our body, and we can even inherit those through the DNA. And so he recommended this one particular energy healing modality, and I found an instructor right away, and I ended up taking a class and training in that modality. And then that just kind of spiraled off from there, where it was one modality after the other. And over the span of the last almost 20 years, I've actually been certified and studied in over 20 different healing modalities. And the work I do today is pretty much a collection of the best practices out of those different trainings that I've had. And it's morphed into something that is kind of unique to me, which is why I call sessions intuitive transformation sessions, because I also connect with these beautiful fifth dimensional beings of light, and some people call them angels, and they began to work with me starting last year in August, when we had that last red blood moon. There was an opening that happened within the consciousness of mind that allows us to move from this third dimensional judgmental reality into this beautiful reality of accepting all things, where duality is not really the deciding factor in our lives.
The age of separation is over.
Well, it's melting. It definitely is melting. Physically, we're still seeing some of the age of separation, as you can see kind of in the political divisiveness of the United States right now. But it definitely is melting and dissolving into this higher level, more Aquarian, feminine energy of more acceptance and community, true community. And the age of competition is definitely dissolving and melting away. So that's kind of how I fell into this work, and it's been an evolution. I started off with something that I used with you that first day when you reached out to me, which is tapping, because that's a great way, for me it's a great emergency rescue for someone if they're in a highly anxious state and they can't seem to negotiate themselves out of it with the tools they have, because it instantly brings you out of that. But then the work I do is really on a much deeper level. So why did you even go into that? What are the driving things? Is it just from some things from your younger childhood? Is it something even that you inherit through the DNA in the womb? From your father or from your mother, and also even on a soul level, because really what we are, we're eternal beings of light. And so our soul has a story as well, because it has a consciousness, because everything is consciousness and everything is energy. And so for me, my work is about getting down to the root issue of, even as much as, why did you choose this particular incarnation this way, with this family, with these experiences, you know, this astrological chart, and can we clear that? And what I found with my clients is, you can.
Yeah, you can. Well, so you had some exposure to spirituality, but you came from a really sort of like neutral background, but you had gotten into a sort of like a religious practice. So basically what I'm trying to say is, a lot of this information wasn't available to you. You didn't know about energy work.
I didn't know anything about energy work, and actually my spirituality, my background in spirituality is really kind of very eclectic, because I was, you know, I went to Catholic school, I was raised Catholic, and then I got baptized as a Baptist one day, and then my father married my stepmom, and she was getting into Jehovah's Witness, so we sat and did a little bit of that stuff, and you know, and then I went into fundamentalist Christianity, and now my spirituality is really my connection with my inner guidance and source as much as I can with the Creator.
So somebody who doesn't have a background in energy, like doesn't even really know what this is, how would you sort of describe, because we are particles of light, and that's kind of, I mean, we can do it. We can do a 2-hour talk just about quantum energy and our quantum reality. But we have the energy fields around us. So talk a little bit about what that is and what that means to you.
Well, you know, when people say, well, what is energy work? That's like saying, what is work? I mean, because, you know, one person could be driving a bus, another person running a corporation, another person doing massage, another person, walking dogs. And so energy work is just as broad as just the definition that we have in terms of career and work. It can have many different representations. Massage is energy healing, craniosacral is energy healing, prayer is energy healing. Forgiveness is one of the most profound things you can do. It's the most powerful form of energy healing. There's hands-on, there's Reiki healing. For me, energy healing is really just, because everything is energy. And what is energy? Energy, initial form of energy was let there be light. So there's sound and light converged in that moment. And when that was, that sound vibration was sent out, it really is about vibration and frequency. And so everything is vibration and frequency, and we live in a universe where everything is about vibrational alignment.
Yes.
And so when we are out of alignment with what is healthiest for us, that anything that is unlike true unconditional love, which that's something that we could do a whole show on that, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about what unconditional love really is. Because we don't really have a true frame of reference. We think we know what it is, but no one really here has experienced true unconditional love fully. I mean, maybe little pieces of it, but not really full on.
Yeah.
So it really is about identifying what is out of alignment with truth. And truth is that everything is unconditional love. And we have these judgments and these perceptions that tend to cause us harm and limit our ability to really step into our authentic selves and everything that we can be, because as human beings we really do have this amazing power at our avail, but because we have all these shoulds and shouldn'ts and how wrongs and rights, it limits how it shows up in our life. The fact that everything is vibrational alignment never ever turns off. And so when we have some belief systems within ourselves that, hey, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I can't, I'm not worthy enough, valuable enough, that presents in our lives, and it causes us a lot of dis-ease because it's not in alignment with truly who we really are. And so for me, even like illness is a denser presentation of that alignment with something that's other than the truth of who we are. And so for me, it's about finding where that misalignment is and whether or not it's something within your DNA that you inherited from within your ancestral lineage, or if it's something from your soul's journey, because maybe in a past life you were part of an army that had to decimate a village, and as a soldier you felt wrong about it. That wrongness you feel creates guilt and blame and shame that you feel you must pay for. It creates a self-punishment program within the soul. And then you bring it in, it gets encoded into your Akashic record as a truth of this is how you feel. So then your vibrational alignment has to be in alignment with that truth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Versus,
and it also makes sense why sometimes you're not always able to cognitively understand why you're upset about something. Is sort of like, because it stacks and it's layers, and it can be
exactly.
Almost,
exactly.
Yeah, like a phantom anxiety.
It's
like
beyond
I have no
the
idea
conscious
why you're
awareness.
scared. Yeah.
It's deep beyond the conscious awareness, and it's interesting because through these studies of all these different modalities, I really, at the time, I was like, what is this? Why am I taking this? Why am I doing that? To me now, it finally has congealed and it makes perfect sense. I mean, getting trained as a hypnotherapist, doing past life regressions taught me so much about the soul and how these belief systems get embedded within consciousness. Usually a traumatic death will embed that belief system within someone. So say someone is murdered and killed because they had a lot of money that they were carrying on their person and they were robbed, and as their soul leaves their body, they'll look and say, they'll make a judgment, it's not safe for me to carry money. And the way consciousness is, whatever we believe is true is always true. You know, and not, I just quote the scripture, but all that fundamentalist Christianity is still kind of in me in terms of Because it's an absolute truth. It's like the universe is always yes.
Yes.
You know, and it never disagrees with you. And part of that is because if it did, we would go insane. If reality showed up out of alignment with our conscious belief systems, we would go insane. We have a collective conscious belief system that gravity is here, and until we had airplanes, that you couldn't go against the form of gravity, right? Yeah. So if you walked in your house and your chairs were hanging from the ceiling, that would make you a little crazy. Or if you left your home and you locked the door and you came back and all your furniture was rearranged, that would make you be a little crazy, making you would think you were psychotic. So if our belief systems don't align, if our reality doesn't align with our belief system, we go nuts. And that's another reason I believe people get frustrated with the law of attraction, is because they'll set an intention, but because they're really not in congruence and alignment with that being a truth and a reality, if it were to show up, you would not be able to receive it as your truth. That's why people that win lotteries go broke within a couple of years. It's been statistically shown. It's because even though they were really focused on winning their lottery and they believed they would win it, they win the lottery, but they never really worked on their belief system with having that much wealth within them. It's uncomfortable. So then you end up hearing, you know, well, they bought a golden throne for their, you know, they do really things that are not really good judgment things. And it's almost like they can't help themselves. So it's almost like we push away what we're not comfortable with because it's not in vibrational alignment. And so my role, what I do with, and it's not really even me, I work with source energy. I work with these beautiful fifth dimensional beings of light that people call angels. And my purpose is really to help people get into, you know, release those things that are locking their ability to step into really this wonderful, abundant opportunities and possibilities that we have before us. But because we are so locked in, there's a right and there's wrong, there's only two choices here, instead of knowing that the universe has infinite realities, infinite possibilities, that we get locked into, there's only two choices. And when you do that, you're usually afraid of making the wrong choice, and so you focus on that, and whatever you focus on expands, because that's another universal law, and then you end up not being able to trust your own judgment and your choices. Yeah. So it's hard to explain exactly what, because it's very multidimensional, it's very multi-layered. Yeah. All I know is when I work with someone, I use a pendulum because it really helps me to get out of the way. So I'm not assuming and presupposing what somebody's doing, and I connect with their consciousness. And then I get just information of where we're going to go. I mean, I'm clairvoyant. Sometimes I see it. Sometimes I just know it. Sometimes I'm shown it in one of my books. I use these as tools. There are readers out there, and they use tarot as their tools to kind of help them. Some people scribble on paper to help them. I have these books that help point me to certain belief systems. Right. And then the story begins to unfold as I kind of get out of the way. Yeah. Yeah, because I wanted to walk people through a little bit about how she helped me when I came. It isn't a traditional therapy session where you I just sit and go over all my problems over and over again. In fact, that actually has shown to cause a lot of damage if you just, without bringing the mindfulness into it. You have to disrupt those negative thoughts. So if you're telling your story over and over again, without bringing the present moment into it, you're actually making the problem exist deeper into your psyche, deeper into your story. Yeah. It makes it a stronger neural pathway. Just in the physical explanation of it, that strengthens your story. So we don't want to talk about it over and over again without bringing that mindfulness in. So when I came in, we kind of had, a little bit of a general well, I do the shortcut system, so I don't really, that's my other thing, is I don't really buy into the story as much. Right. I do allow my clients to share their story if it makes them feel better, because the conscious mind, especially if... But you weren't going to let me go on and ramble on about what Mimi said. It depends. Okay. There are some clients I do that with, because because it depends on the client, because
Yes.
there are some people who have never in their life been heard. And it's
Yeah.
important for me to value that. But I also, you know, again, I don't, like I said, I don't presuppose what's going. I never know
Yeah.
what's going to show up in the door. And just to clarify, you know, and I do truly understand what you mean about how it does reinforce those neurotransmitters when you do rehearse the story over and over again. And I don't want to bash talk therapy, because I think talk therapy has its place, and it's created a lot of information that we didn't have and know about psychology through talk therapy. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't have Jungian, you know, I can't even say his name. Jungian therapy and all the other wonderful insights that we've gotten because of our Freud, and you know, we wouldn't have had that without talk therapy.
No, Freud.
Oh, Freud wasn't talk therapy?
No, I was saying not Freud.
Well, but we've learned from that.
Yes.
Everything is learning.
Yes, like
everything
Maslow
has
and-
exactly.
yes,
Everything.
absolutely,
I'm just trying to say that everything has value.
Yeah.
So I don't want to necessarily say that it's a horrible thing, but what I do want to point out is where the damage really happens is when we get into our circles.
Yes.
And we repeat our stories
yeah.
over and over again in our circles, and our circles reinforce our stories. And then we become stuck, and nothing ever really changes.
You say that much better than I do.
Yeah,
Yes,
and so that's where I feel that it becomes
toxic.
toxic.
Yeah.
And then you then become toxic, because then you can't really see beyond your own toxic story that you're focusing on, that then just expands, as I said, because there is a universal law about what you focus on expands. So, I'm sorry, but I think I forgot the question now.
Oh, no, that's okay, because, no, I was going to bring you right back, because we sat down and I didn't process like that. You brought me into specifics, and you used the pendulum, and you used your books, and it seemed like more like you were asking Source where I needed the healing.
Yes, absolutely.
And if I acknowledge that as like we're sort of looking at this area, and I'm like, yes, or I would tear up. She would ask a question, and I would tear up, and I would be like, oh, I guess that's bothering me. Yeah, that's,
and so for
that's
me,
right on.
Right. For me, the work is very much about getting to the root of it. And so I'm always working, even when you're talking. I'm like, like I said, I let my client share, and sometimes there's something, I'm like, stop and hold for a minute, and then I'm like, okay, I get the information, I'm like, is this really what you're saying? And they'll say yes.
Yes.
And also the other thing I want to say is that I completely honor my client when I'm doing this work. It's about, if I'm saying something and you go, Sylvia, you're talking out of the top of your head, that is not me. I'm totally okay with you saying no. And I've had clients, it's so funny. I'll start off the section, because what I've learned in my sessions is I just need to say what shows up, and when I don't I usually I get a slap on the hand, or don't try to soften the blow, because I really do. It's a little bit like looking in the drawer where you've hidden your dirty underwear, so to speak. So the stuff that is deep beneath the surface is the stuff that's causing your issues in life. And so there have been times where I've read something and somebody goes, well, that used to be me. And I'm like, okay. And I'll just keep going, and then something else will come up, and it'll validate what I initially said, and then they just totally own it. I say, do you remember when I said in the beginning? So I don't get hung up on trying to convince people. My job is to say what I'm supposed to say, and I tell my clients, if it doesn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. You do not have to take it. I'm not trying to force feed you anything. I'm not trying to convince you. If it doesn't resonate, you don't have to change it. But if there's a possibility that could be true, are you willing to let go of the possibility that could be true? I'll meet them where they're at, because my goal really is to make sure that when they leave, they are transformed. That's why my business is named the way it is. It's not about just getting paid. It's about, I want to know at the end of the day, were they able to have a shift that was so visceral and tangible that when they left, they knew something changed, and their life begins to change as a result.
They had healing, they had a shift.
Right.
And,
Right. And it's more than a shift. It really is a transformation. I know in the metaphysical community, the shift thing is really big, But now, people, I want you to know, we're accessing different realms of energy now. There's so much light that is being poured onto our planet. Consciousness is opening up so much more than it ever was able to before. We have reached the tipping point of that 100th monkey scenario, and people are waking up all over the planet. They're waking up to the awareness of, I am feeling it. We are connected. We are all Wi-Fi instruments, actually. Yes. And as a result of this light, it is a little bit like having a dark closet and turning the light on and then seeing all the creepy crawlies in the corner.
Oh my gosh,
and so what's happening right now on the planet with everything that's playing out is this light is very disturbing to people, because now they're seeing what they've not wanted to see within themselves.
Yes.
They're seeing they're feeling their unshed grief that they've swallowed. Mm-hmm. They're seeing the anger that they did not know how to express, that they were afraid of. And it is very disturbing for people, and they are acting out in that disturbance because it's not a gentle birthing anymore. You know, the light is on, high beam, bright, yes. And everything that's been hidden is being exposed. And so all of the shadow aspects of mankind is being brought to the consciousness of all of mankind, the stuff that was beneath the surface, so that we can heal it. It is not so that it destroys us.
Yes.
It's so that we can heal it. We cannot heal and remove what we're not aware of. And what we're going to start seeing, in spite of all of what we are seeing, that we're just like, oh my God, how could this be happening on the planet right now? I mean, the things in Venezuela, the things that are happening around the globe, the things that are happening in the economic arena, just, you know, the violence that's been outbrought, the hatred that's coming up.
Yes.
This has all been there for eons, and this is the perfect time now that all of these souls that are here signed up for, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, so that the planet can finally heal, because it's time for Mother Earth's vibration to raise, and we're seeing that with how the magnetic field is shifting.
Yes.
This is all by design. This is not an accident. This is not like, oh my God, we're going crazy. We are going crazy because it's not our normal. So remember how I said you could leave your home and you come back and everything is moved around, even though you locked all the doors? Well, now we're leaving our home and then we're coming in and everything's been moved around. And it's really about us coming to grips that we need to heal on an individual. It's not about blame and shame out there anymore. Yeah. It's like we have to get to what Dr. Hugh Lin started with the Ho'oponopono. You know, where he went into that prison where the mentally ill people were, this prison for mentally ill prisoners, and it changed, but he wasn't meeting with the prisoners. He was opening their files, and he was like, what is it within me that matches what is in them, and let me heal it in me. And the thing is we do not see what we're not already holding. So when we're looking, we're seeing that the hatred that's out there, and we're getting upset about it. Start asking, well, we're hating that.
Yes. Heal
the hatred in ourselves.
Yes.
And that's what my work is also designed to do. This is an individual, heal those wounds within ourselves. Heal that self-rejection. Heal that self-hate. Heal that self-punishment. And our world's going to heal. Because when we can step into self-love, love will be everywhere.
Yes.
And that's what this is about.
And it multiplies on a quantum level up versus this lower reality and the more angry vibrations. Because they sink and because they're heavier, they don't expand as quickly. So it is all of the positive things are at a quantum level just multiplying, and more awake people.
Now it's just going to snowball. Or actually, it's more, because when I said that, I'm seeing a forest fire, and it's interesting because we've had so many fires lately, but I almost think it's metaphorical for what's happening with the energy shift.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's catching like crazy. I mean, there was a time not too far in the distant past when people thought of meditation, they were like, what is that? That's so crazy sounding. And now it is a household word.
Yeah.
And all of this is being present in the moment, mindfulness. These are becoming terms because we're realizing this out there focus is not what's going to make us happy. We somehow have been conditioned on this planet to believe, not all, but those who are in civilized societies, to believe that we are supposed to take our cue from what is happening out in our life, instead of realizing that what is happening out in our life is taking its cue from what's happening within us.
Yes.
And so it's a little bit like looking in the mirror and having a smudge on your face and trying to wipe it off the mirror, instead of realizing the smudge is within us.
That is a great
The
analogy.
smudge is within us,
yes.
and that's what we need to change and shift. And
Yeah.
that's really all I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Is help people do that. And honestly,
Well, you helped me so much. I
Oh,
was
good.
I was even thinking, when I called you, I visualized you were in this, like, you were in your civilian clothes and you were just hanging out, and you saw your phone. It's like SOS from Andrea, and you went into a phone booth and came out with this Wonder Woman costume on. You was Superwoman. It was amazing. You really helped. And,
Oh, good, thank you.
And you've got some classes coming up. Tell me about your classes.
I do.
If you're in the
Actually,
east
no,
side
they're
of-
virtual.
Oh,
all my classes
for
are
everybody
virtual
then,
right
not
now.
just
Yeah,
local. All right.
I will have some more local classes, but right now all my classes are virtual. They're
Oh,
online.
yay. Okay.
Yeah, and
And give us your website
they're,
and all that.
and they're okay. So my website is Intuitive Transformations with an S, transformations.net.
And
not
I'll
.com.
have that typed out, don't worry.
Because there is a .com, so it's
Yeah.
intuitivetransformations.net. That's my website. And so I co-facilitate, it's actually not a class, it's a group healing call that I do with a wonderful healer. Her name is Belinda Womack. She's an author. She's written this great book called Lessons from the 12 Archangels. Oh my God, how could I forget that? I'm so sorry, Belinda. And she's an amazing, amazing healer. And, I have a radio show also on omtimes.com.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Called Intuitive Transformations.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll talk about branding, consistency.
And you just got on iHeartRadio.
And I'm also on I'm on iHeartRadio. My podcasts are there. They're on iTunes as well for you to download, as well as omtimes.com, and you can listen to me live every Sunday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern there. And my show focuses on interviewing primarily authors, but cutting edge spiritual leaders and thinkers. And so my class, let me get back to my class. I'm really excited about it. It's called Awaken Your Inner Alchemist. And it's really
I love that name.
wonderful
Yeah.
because it really is, it's all done on, it's a call. So you call in, and Belinda, who channels the 12 archangels, as well as, she's just such a clear channel for all, she's medium channel, she's amazing. She gets this higher level information, and she does these beautiful, beautiful healings of the soul. And she uses a lot of different light colors, and it's just so beautiful. And she does a teaching, and she does a healing, and then I take over the second half, and I do my work where I'm tapping into the fifth dimensional beings of light, and I'm saying, treating this group as a collective consciousness. We're healing these inner wounds. Our next one coming up is all about clearing the energy of appeasement, which is really about not having good boundaries, where we've given away our power to others because we're trying to get approval and love,
Yes, yeah.
and that people-pleasing energy. And so this one is coming up on August 14th, Sunday, and if you go to my website, you can register from there. It's through Eventbrite. It's $39 for the healing. And then at the end of that, we do